The drone wasn't delivering packages. It was stalking my sister like a flying paparazzo with a god complex. This swing disrupts the aesthetic harmony of Eden's Gate, Priscilla Montgomery purred. Lipstick smile locked in place while her little mechanical spy buzzed 10 feet above Emma's head. She actually waved at me like we were old golf buddies. We're all about peace here, Ryan. Surely you understand. I didn't yell. I didn't need to. I just smiled back, the same smile I used on warlords who thought they could out-tech a Navy drone warfare specialist. Because Priscilla, the queen of beige everything and HOA president for life, had no clue she'd just poked the one guy who used to jam Taliban signals for breakfast. Most neighbors saw me as the quiet dude with the slightly long grass and the sister who never left the yard. They never asked why I walked the fence line at 3 a.m. checking sight lines. They definitely never asked why Emma still flinched when a cloud passed over the sun. We'd moved to Eden's Gate 6 months ago because the brochure promised serene suburban living. Translation: a pastel prison where every blade of grass had to match Pantone 7497C and Joy was filed under non-compliant. Emma's therapist had suggested outdoor grounding work after the nightmare with her ex. Real grounding, not the HOA kind. So I built the swing. Marine-grade chains, seismic dampers, half-roof for shade, anchored 3 feet into the earth so nothing short of an earthquake could touch it. Emma sketched the heart on the seat herself. First time she'd drawn anything since the hospital. The day Priscilla's drone appeared, Emma was mid-session. Legs swinging gently, eyes closed, repeating her breathing script under the oak. 7 peaceful minutes. Then the hum started. She froze mid-breath, pupils blown wide. The same look she had the night her ex kicked the door in. The therapist reached for her too late. Emma bolted, barefoot, straight under the porch like she could dig herself back to safety. Nails split, palms bleeding, whispering they're watching, while the drone kept circling like it was taking notes for the next board meeting. Priscilla floated over in her golf cart. HOA handbook open like scripture. Privacy screens and therapy equipment must be screened from public view, dear. Paragraph 7.3. We can't have the neighborhood looking uneven. She said, uneven the way normal people say cancer. I pointed at the sky. That thing's got a 4K camera and directional mic. You're filming a medical session. She blinked once, slow and practiced. Not listed on her file. Besides, it's for landscape enforcement. Smile, you're on camera. That was the moment the whisper in my chest turned into a roar I kept chained down. Because Priscilla wasn't just enforcing rules. She was enjoying it. The way her eyes sparkled when Emma scrambled under the porch told me everything. This wasn't about beige paint. This was power in yoga pants. 3 days later, the first violation notice appeared on my door, folded with military precision. Unauthorized permanent structure. Emotional support swing. They'd reclassified it as a semi-permanent eyesore. I logged it, photographed it, timestamped it. I wasn't fighting a swing. I was building a case file the way I used to build target packages overseas. Then came the second drone, smaller, quieter, painted the same beige as every house on the block. Emma had finally worked up the courage to water the ferns by the back fence. 5 minutes outside. The drone dropped to shoulder height and hovered, lens whirring. She dropped the watering can like it was on fire and ran inside. Didn't speak for 6 hours. That night I found her under the porch again, rocking, nails dug into the beams. The swing sat empty, chains creaking like they were crying. I started noticing the pattern. Mrs. Delgado down the street got cited for wind chimes that disrupted visual calm. Mr. Patel's bird feeder was non-compliant wildlife attraction. Both had smiled at Emma during her first week here. Coincidence? In Priscilla's Eden's Gate, nothing was coincidence. She was pruning the neighborhood like a hedge. Snip anyone who asked questions. Snip anyone who didn't bow to the beige. The community mail kiosk became a ghost town. People suddenly remembered urgent errands when they saw me. Toby No Derek, Priscilla's nephew and the HOA's tech compliance officer, kept calibrating antennas on the clubhouse roof. His shoes never matched. Dead giveaway. I watched him from my driveway and called up softly. Signal issues or just testing the new spy toys? He nearly fell off the ladder. Routine maintenance, Mr. Callahan. Aunt Pri wants better coverage. The way he said coverage made my skin crawl. That night I pulled the HOA portal logs. 5 new citations uploaded at 1:17 a.m. outside office hours. Metadata showed a private IP. Priscilla wasn't just president. She was running her own little surveillance startup out of her 3-car garage. And Emma's file was labeled Subject, High Emotional Reactivity, Monitor Swing Interactions. I didn't sleep. I mapped drone flight paths, logged signal latency, traced every ping back to a portable uplink hidden in Derek's maintenance cart. The swing wasn't the problem. The swing was the symbol. Priscilla saw Emma healing in public and it offended her. Real healing meant real people, messy and alive, and Eden's Gate was built for mannequins. By week 4 the citations stacked like poker chips. Visual obstruction of community sight lines. We didn't even have an airfield. Priscilla had invented the violation the way she invented her smile, cold, plastic, perfect. The photo attached showed Emma mid-step at sunrise, face turned to the sky like she was praying for the buzzing to stop. Stalked. Cataloged. Weaponized. I walked into the temporary HOA trailer the next morning. Priscilla sat behind a folding table like it was a throne. Coffee in a monogrammed mug that read President for Life. Ryan, she sighed without looking up. Another appeal? We're so busy keeping things harmonious. I placed the printed drone logs on her desk. Altitude, timestamps, FAA red zones highlighted in red. This one's not an appeal. This is a receipt. Her eyes flicked up. The smile stayed but the corners twitched like cheap Botox. All monitoring is for safety, dear. Your sister's condition is disruptive to the neighborhood vibe. She said condition like it was mold on the siding. I leaned in just enough. You filmed a trauma survivor during therapy. That's not safety. That's sadism in pastels. She stood, hands flat on the table. This conversation is over. No, I said, already walking out. It's just uploaded. Outside, the smaller drone launched from the roof and turned east. Away from my house. Smart. Priscilla was rattled. She'd expected the quiet veteran to fold. She never expected the quiet veteran to remember every frequency he'd ever jammed. Back home I plugged the uplink I'd borrowed from Derek's cart into an air-gapped laptop. Files spilled out like toxic waste. 37 addresses. Hours of footage. Kids on trampolines, couples fighting, old misses. Delgado crying in her garden after her husband's funeral. Emma's folder was the thickest tagged, behavioral recalibration study. Priscilla had been testing how close the drone could get before Emma broke. Notes in the margins. Reduce proximity. Subject shows increased resistance. Clinical. Detached. Evil. One clip showed the swing therapy session. Emma's voice, small and hopeful. I think I can stay out longer today. Then the drone hum. Then screaming. Priscilla had saved it in a folder called Compliance Wins. I sat there until the sun came up, knuckles white on the desk edge. Not rage. Cold calculation. The same calm I used when I used to send drones into caves that never came back out. Priscilla thought she was the apex predator. She just walked into my kill zone. Derek showed up at my door at dusk, hoodie up, hands shaking like he'd seen his own ghost. I didn't know what was on the drives. He blurted before I even opened the screen. She said it was just landscaping diagnostics. I swear. I let him in. He stared at the folder on my table like it might bite him. She's got a second server in her basement. Mirrors everything. Even audio. She told me the mics were off. His voice cracked. I saw the clip of your sister. She looked peaceful. Before the drone. That was the moment Derek broke. Not from threats. From shame. The kid had grown up thinking Aunt Pri was a superhero who kept the neighborhood pretty. Turns out she was just another tyrant who liked pretty cages. I slid him a flash drive. Back up the command logs. Everything. No cloud. Old laptop at home offline. Drop it at the storm drain behind the tennis courts tomorrow night. No cameras there. Priscilla cut that budget last year, remember? He nodded like a man signing his own pardon. She used to make me pancakes on Sundays. Before the power trip. I didn't answer. Some people only learn who their family really is when the drones start flying over therapy swings. The next morning I uploaded everything to the FAA tip line and the State Privacy Commission. Flight paths, device IDs, the private LLC, Eden Compliance Solutions, registered to Priscilla's maiden name. I CC'd a journalist friend who owed me from Kandahar days. Subject line: Suburban Surveillance State, don't look away. Michelle called 8 minutes later. Jesus, Ryan. This isn't an HOA, this is North Korea with better curb appeal. Can you run it? I asked. Friday night segment. National feed. She laughed, dark and delighted. I'm clearing the whole hour. Your HOA Karen is about to become a cautionary tale. Thursday was graveyard quiet. No drones. No citations. Priscilla was regrouping, probably polishing her next speech about protecting property values. I spent the day printing neighborhood flyers, plain paper, no branding. Did you know your kids are on camera? Community meeting Friday 7 p.m. Clubhouse. Bring questions. I stuffed mailboxes at sunrise. By noon the whispers were louder than any drone. Emma watched me from the kitchen window, sketchbook in her lap again. First time in weeks. You're really doing this, she said softly. For the swing. I shook my head. For every swing they tried to take away. She smiled, small, real. The kind that used to light up the whole house before the nightmares moved in. Friday evening the clubhouse rec room looked like a funeral that hadn't decided who died yet. Every chair filled. People standing in the back. Tension thick enough to choke on. Priscilla swept in at 7:05, clipboard in one hand. Victim smile dialed to 11. She didn't know the segment had already dropped online at 6:59. I didn't wait for permission. I just started. For those who don't know me, I'm Ryan Callahan, Lot 42. I moved here for peace. Instead I got a drone in my sister's face during therapy. And I wasn't the only one. I held up the folder. 37 homes. Kids. Elderly. Private moments. All tagged and stored in Priscilla Montgomery's basement server. Under an LLC she created 6 years ago to sell neighborhood security solutions to other HOAs. Gasps rippled. Phones came out. Priscilla's smile froze mid-curl. This is unauthorized. Derek stood up from the sidewall, voice shaking but clear. I pulled the logs. She routed everything through my cart. Used my access code. I didn't know what I was carrying until I saw Emma's file. He held up the printout of the purchase order, signed in Priscilla's maiden name. Facial recognition. Behavioral notes. She called it compliance testing. Mrs. Delgado rose next, voice trembling with rage. You filmed me crying at my husband's memorial in the backyard. Told me it was pest control. Mr. Patel jumped in. My daughter changed clothes with the blinds open. Your drone was there. The room turned into a pressure cooker. Priscilla tried the classic Karen pivot. All actions were within policy for aesthetic preservation. We can't have chaos. Chaos. I cut in, voice low. A girl trying to heal on a swing is chaos? But spying on children isn't. I tapped my phone. Michelle's segment played on the big screen someone had wheeled in, drone footage blurred just enough, Priscilla's face crystal clear, FAA quote at the end. Multiple violations under review. Criminal referral possible. Priscilla's clipboard hit the floor. For the first time the smile cracked clean in half. No comeback. No bless your heart. Just the sound of 30 neighbors realizing they'd been living in a panopticon run by a woman who thought beige was a personality. Hands shot up for the motion to suspend her immediately. Unanimous. Security, actual county sheriff's deputy who lived 3 streets over, escorted her out while she clutched her pearls like they could save her. The door clicked shut. Someone started slow clapping. Then the whole room. I left the evidence folder on the table. New board, new rules. Real ones. With consent this time. Outside, Emma waited under the oak, arms wrapped around herself but not hiding. The swing creaked gently behind her in the breeze. No hum. No lens. Just wind and leaves and the sound of people finally breathing again. 2 weeks later the FAA findings landed like a meteor. For airspace violations. 2 counts of unlicensed commercial surveillance. 1 very interested state attorney general. Priscilla's house went on the market overnight. Moving truck at dawn, no goodbye party, no garage sale. Neighbors who used to nod politely now crossed the street to avoid the for sale sign like it had cooties. The new HOA board, actual humans who smiled with their eyes, sent every homeowner a formal apology and an opt-in privacy charter. They even used my framework: consent clauses, emergency exemptions, zero tolerance for private servers in basements. Emma helped revise the therapy swing section herself. First time she'd spoken in a public meeting. She didn't flinch once. That Friday she walked out to the swing alone. No therapist, no coaxing. Just coffee, sketchbook, and morning sun. I joined her later. She looked up, real smile, the kind that reaches the eyes. It feels different now, she said. Like the air is actually mine. I nodded toward the empty lot where Priscilla's drone used to launch. Turns out peace isn't beige. It's quiet because nobody's watching. She laughed, soft, surprised, alive. The swing chain sang in the breeze. A real bird landed on the half roof. No mechanical hum to scare it away. Later I walked the perimeter again, old habit. But this time I wasn't hunting threats. I was just home. The jamming stakes were gone. The rooftop dish was down. Yet every time a cloud passed I still glanced up out of instinct. Some scars don't fade. They just learn to live with better neighbors. Derek stopped by once with a six-pack and an awkward sorry. We sat on the porch and watched Emma sketch on the swing. She used to be different, he said quietly. Before the power. Before the drones. I clinked my bottle to his. Most monsters start as people who forgot they were supposed to be human. The story didn't stay in Eden's Gate. Michelle's segment went viral. Comments flooded in from every subdivision in America. My HOA cited my garden gnome. They fined me for Christmas lights in July. My Karen uses ring cameras like a police state. Turns out Priscilla wasn't special. She was just the loudest symptom of a disease called suburban control freaks who think their taste is law. I wrote this because I don't want another Emma hiding under porches. I don't want another swing sitting empty because some clipboard tyrant decided healing wasn't aesthetically pleasing. If you're watching this from your own backyard, staring at a violation notice right now, know this. They only win if you stay quiet. The swing is still there. Emma still uses it every morning. And every time the chains creak, I remember the day the drone fell silent. So tell me, when a traumatized woman finally finds one safe place in the sun, and the HOA rips it away in the name of uniformity, who's really the criminal? The brother who fought back with facts and patience, or the smiling Karen who turned a neighborhood into her personal surveillance playground? Drop your answer in the comments, because the next swing might be yours. And if you're tired of HOA horror stories where the wrong people keep winning, smash subscribe. Your neighborhood might need a Ryan Callahan next.